And this is, Simon Dello warns people that there are some scenes within this story which are confronting. So be aware. There is no blood or gore or anything, but there is blurred out images. And, if you're a deep thinker, you know what those blurred out images are. We will have a look at the situation with this continued war crimes happening in the Middle East committed by Israel.
And in the Middle East, there's fierce global condemnation of 2 Israeli airstrikes on a hospital in the south of occupied Gaza that killed at least 20 people. And a warning, our story contains images some of you may find confronting. Health workers, rescuers and journalists are among the dead, most of them killed by the second strike on the same site as they rushed to the scene. Corazon Miller has the latest.
When Israel's first strike hit, it was the busiest time of day for the only partially functional hospital in Gaza's south.
So just think about that. The only partially functioning hospital in the south. This is it. And what does Israel do? They attack that, the only partially functioning hospital. So what Israel is actively trying to do is to have no functioning hospitals. That's the objective here, which is quite clear by attacking the only partially functioning hospital left in the south.
Without anything, without any prior warning, the area was targeted.
As patients and families fled the chaos and confusion, rescue workers and journalists rushed in to help the wounded. Then, minutes later, this. A second blast hitting where they worked. From below, cameras kept rolling, capturing the dazed and distraught survivors amid the dust and dead.
Scenes that I will never forget. We've seen a lot here in the year and a half that I've been here.
Liz Alcock works for MAP, which is the group that we did a buffer lot for. The medical aid for Palestinians. So that's with the aid worker, that's who Liz works for. I put in an email today to MAP to see if she could connect us at all. They could connect us, but it might be time, I think, to do another fundraiser for something in Gaza. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of weeks, Whānau.
Here in the year and a half that I've been here and the almost 2 years of this catastrophe. And it just gets worse and worse.
The strikes killed health workers, emergency responders, and at least 5 local journalists working for international media. Reuters cameraman Hussam Al-Mazri, Al Jazeera's Mohammed Salama, 2 freelance journalists Moaz Abu Taha, Ahmed Abu Aziz, and AP freelancer Mariam Abu Daga.
She cared for me and donated her kidney to me, and they transplanted it. She was loved by everyone.
Their deaths just 2 weeks after a targeted Israeli strike killed Al Jazeera's entire Gaza City reporting team.
And just remember in that strike, and I was talking to someone today and I said, even if we agree with Israel's, the IDF's position, which we don't, right? But even if we did, which was one of those reporters was a Hamas target, right? So even if we would agree with that, which we don't, there's not evidence for that, but even if we did, what they did was they killed 7 of them, so 6 of them journalists, to get to the 1, war crime. So even if what they're saying is true, war crime. It's a bit like what you're saying, Chewie, 83% according to them are civilians, war crime. Can we just stop this now? Israel is admitting to their war crimes. There's no more conversation around this.
More on that in a wee sec.
All right.
When and where is it going to end? Are we going to let the Israel Defense Forces continue the repeated killing of journalists?
This war has been the deadliest ever for journalists, with nearly 200 killed so far. And with international media barred by Israel, most, if not all, were Palestinians. It's boosting claims that Israel's trying to stop the world from seeing what happens here. Accusations repeatedly rejected by Israel, saying it doesn't target journalists as such. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
As such, true. I was just thinking, I just had a horrific thought. I'm sorry if it's horrific. You know what my horrific thought is? You can see the press flak jackets there. Those will bring more attention to these people, it would seem, than not. I wonder if actually wearing the press flak jacket is more dangerous than not wearing a flak jacket at all. Because if we accept, and evidence seems pretty strong, that the IDF is targeting journalists, wearing one as a protectant might be more dangerous than not wearing one at all, which is a terrifying thought.
Target journalists as such. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called...
By the way, that as such is doing a lot of fucking heavy lifting. Israel does not target journalists as such. Yeah, all right.
calling the latest strikes a tragic mishap that his military will investigate.
We are operating in an extremely complex reality. Hamas terrorists deliberately use civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, as shields.
Israel's protestations met with growing suspicion that a so-called double-tap strike, a controversial military tactic to maximise casualties, could be anything but targeted.
This third floor was reputedly known for being a space where journalists work, and so there is already a first indication that it might have been a targeted strike.
What Israel sees as defence, many others now see as indefensible. Corazon Miller, One News.
They need to understand when they use words like a controversial tactic, they're mispronouncing war crime. I'm not sure why that's so hard to get off there, but
it's got more syllables.
Yeah, maybe. So there you go, Joe. Throw you the ball.
Hey, look, Mr. IDF spokesperson saying using civilian infrastructure to shelter behind. I just want to point out that the military headquarters for the entire IDF is under a hospital in a civilian neighborhood covered in high-rises in the middle of Tel Aviv. So, what I was talking about at the top of the show was that Israel is quite happy to tell the world one thing and tell its own people something different. So they were talking about this strike today. There's two versions. Where's my window? So I'm just going to read this for the people that aren't watching. In English, Israel calls the double tapping a hospital a mistake. In Hebrew, Israel brags about bombing Nasir Hospital twice and murdering 4 journalists there, calling them all terrorists. They first bombed the hospital, waited for the journalists to rush to the scene, and then bombed them. So the first release was IDF admits mistaken attack on hospital killing journalists and other civilians. We are devastated to learn of the death of Reuters contractor Hassam al-Masri and injuries to another of our contractors, Hatim Khalid, in the Israeli strikes, a Reuters spokesperson says. In the Hebrew language report, from the IDF, our forces operated at Nasser Hospital, which had become a terrorist headquarters. In the past 24 hours, the level of fighting in the Gaza Strip has increased, and a targeted attack was carried out on the Nasser Hospital complex in Khan Yunis, which was serving as a terrorist headquarters. We're currently attacking terrorist headquarters and eliminating the terrorists, including those who disguised themselves as journalists. So IDF perfectly happy to say, yep, we fucking did it. As long as it's in Hebrew to their own people. To the international community, we made another mistake. We keep making this mistake. We can put a drone through someone's window in the middle of Iran, but we just keep bombing journalists in Gaza. We don't know what's going on. It's just crazy.
I struggle with what you've just said, because if that was accurate, and I'm not saying it's not, that would show utter incompetence by the IDF, because of course they're going to know that there's going to be Hebrew speakers who aren't on their side. So I'm just asking a question.
They don't care.
No, but
and they
that's what I'm
don't
asking.
have to care. No one's stopping them.
But that's what I'm asking. Are we 100% sure that's what the Hebrew translation says? That's all I'm asking. Are we is it like fact check, we good source, that kind of stuff? Or just to make sure, because it sounds like the kind of thing that, that would be, I was going to look up Snopes, and that might not be far enough through, but yeah, that's all. I mean, we can do it ourselves by just finding someone who speaks Hebrew and sending it through. I'm just going to have a look at some other things as well.
Well, I'll dig into that and see if I can find it independently.
I'm not challenging it. I just think that it's a bit like I've had this conversation before about something Hamas was accused of doing. And I'm not a person who stands up for the actions of Hamas, but it was very obvious what the person had put out there was false. And it took me about 5 minutes of checking the false. And the thing is, if we're on the right side of history, like if we're in the right, we don't need to make up bullshit. Now, I'm not saying that that's a made up bullshit. It's just it's worth making sure we're right, because if that is the case, that's even more damning. But if it's not the case, what happens is then the other side gets to go, oh, you were wrong this time, you'll be wrong again. That's all. I'm just a bit of a finicky fickler. Don't think it's a word, but so maybe you can send that to me and I'll do some checking of it overnight and we can come back tomorrow. It can be like a follow-up. We can do this is a cliffhanger. This is a cliffhanger and we'll check on it tomorrow. But actually, let's not take away from also the point, right? The point being war crime, and definitely the IDF don't give a shit. In fact, I almost thought while I was watching that, Chewie, I might make a little call that we might not play the IDF on this show anymore. So, because we know.
I'm torn on that. I see where you're going with it. I just think knowing what we know and then seeing the IDF spokesperson come out and just say clearly a nonsense. But on the flip side of that is I don't want to see the pricks either.
I'm more thinking about Jim Carrey makes some really funny noises. He does this voice where he goes, meow, 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 and it might just be funny to put that underneath all the future IDF soldiers speaking. That might be funnier. All right. We will continue to check on that. And look, I'm not being, when you're right, you don't need to spread stuff that's not wrong. So that's why I'm a bit of a finicky for checking out that we're right. I'm not suggesting that it's wrong, by the way, Chewie. I'm not questioning your thing. I'm just going like, let's double check that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then let's report back. Because if that's right, that's even more damning once we've double checked it.